In this video, I'm going to show you what you need to start up your clothing brand, and I'm also going to give you the true cost breakdown. Alright, so the first things that you will need is going to be your website. You will need a domain name. That way you look a little bit more professional, because if you just set up a Shopify website, it's going to say .shopify.com or your business name .wix.com. There's lots of different platforms that you can use to be a website builder, but you are going to want a domain, so it does say yourbrand.com. So I typically like to use GoDaddy. There's lots of other websites. There's Namecheap, or you can even get a domain name right on Shopify itself, but typically I like to go with GoDaddy. It's going to cost anywhere from $10 to $20 per year. Now with Shopify, this is also going to be a monthly plan as well. Typically, you can start off with the basic plan, which is $39 a month. Now with Shopify, you can use this to take in orders online. You can also purchase shipping labels right on Shopify, and you can also use this to build your website. So this is going to be your e-commerce platform where you take in orders, where people come on and they will actually shop, and this is going to be your management system of where you see the orders and how you ship them out. And as I was saying earlier, there are lots of other platforms. There's Xero, there's Wix, there's so many to name, but this is going to be the most easiest one to use from my experience. And if you want to set up your own website, I'm typically running with Shopify. Now that you have a domain, a website, you are going to need designs that you are going to post on your website. You're going to need something that you can edit the photos and the banners and whatnot of your actual website itself. So most people and myself, I would highly recommend Adobe products. However, this is very, very intimidating to start off with, and it does have quite a learning curve. But once you master it, you will become really good at it, and it will become easier and easier to use. So with the Creative Cloud, all of the applications are typically around $54 per month. But my go-to for beginners is going to be Kittl.com. There are multiple different pricing tiers on here as well. You can pretty much get away at $10 per month if you sign up for the annual plan. But at monthly, it looks like it is $15 per month. Now, if you don't want to design yourself and you just want to outsource it completely, you can go to a website like Fiverr.com or find an artist on Instagram. And on here, you will find some cheaper projects like $10, $30, or even up to hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But on average, a good project will typically cost around $45 for a good design. Now you will need something for a mock-up. There are multiple websites for this as well. There's Placeit, there's Mockit. You can even create a mock-up right on Kittl.com itself, or you can even go a free route by going to Printful.com or going to Printify and creating the mock-up there and downloading it. But I've typically like to use mock-it.co, just because they have a lot of different varieties, and you can download the Photoshop file and kind of edit it to how you would like it for your own as well. So basically you have a template mockup, and if you want to make some adjustments to it, you can make it on your own. So I'll create an example of creating a design and mockup right after I give you guys the next step, which is actually production. So with production, you can use print on demand to start off with if you don't want to hold any type of inventory whatsoever. However, the con is the fact that it is more expensive. Instead of you handling it on your own, you can use Printful, you can use Printify. On average, it is around $13 per t-shirt. But if you want the custom neck tag label, on average, you're looking at around $17. And if you're doing it yourself, if you're heat pressing or you're screen printing yourself, or even if you have your own DTG printer, you can get away with around $2.50 to $4 per shirt. Now you may be asking, where do you get these blank t-shirts? There's multiple websites. Some of the most popular distributors are going to be these websites right here. You have alphabroder.com, you have sandmar.com, you have SS Activewear. Now on alphabroder.com, I have noticed lately you don't need a resale license to even start on here. You can pay the taxes. So this is something that you may want to look into, because this is going to be the #1 most popular website to get your blanks at a low cost. Now, if you want something a little bit more of like a streetwear style blank, you do have something like Superline Wholesale. They are actually local to me in Atlanta. So they have some more unique custom cuts, such as these hoodies right here. And they have styles that are more in, such as 5-inch seam mesh shorts and stack track pants and so on. Now, if you want to outsource this instead of using print on demand or doing it yourself, you can do screen print, which usually has a MOQ, which is a minimum order quantity. Now with a minimum order quantity, it's going to vary depending on the screen printing shop that you are going to. Typically you can expect 36. I've been in some shops that start off at 50, but you can bring them the blanks. Some shops don't allow you to bring the blanks, but you can check in with them on that. Now the cost for that is typically going to go by the color and the location. So as you can see, this is one location and one color. So this is going to typically cost around $2 per color, or per location. So this right here is $2 per print. So $2 times 36 t-shirts. Now, this cost is going to change depending on how many you order or depending on your relation to the printer. If you're doing a lot of work with them and you establish a good communication with your printer, you know, you can get better price breaks. Or if you are going to shop around different screen printers and you're seeing what type of pricing that different screen printers have, then you can kind of see an average of what you should expect to pay locally to you. Now, this price is going to depend on a lot of different things: your location, how many colors you're getting printed, how many units you are getting printed, and so on. So this price may be changed, but just think of this number as a foundation. Now, some of your local print shops may also have direct to garment. Now, this is going to be a one-off print. There's typically no minimum order quantities when it comes to this, and this is typically what print on demand shops usually has as well, which is a direct to garment printer. So you can expect to pay anywhere from $12 to $20 per t-shirt if you are just looking for one t-shirt or one hoodie and so on. But now this right here is typically a full color print. So a lot of the times, if you are outsourcing and you want to go ahead and promote a product and do a pre-order, then you can go ahead and get a direct to garment print and then promote that one product, then go back after you get your orders and then go get it screen printed. Now, for cut and sew, typically you are looking for a manufacturer that is Pakistan. If you are getting all of those direct messages on Instagram saying, "Hey sir, how are you? Hey madam," this is typically a manufacturer that is in Pakistan. Typically you can expect a minimum order quantity of around 25, and t-shirt costs are typically around $12 each, $20 per hoodie, and $25 per tracksuit. It can get lower depending on the amount of quantities that you order, but you are a lot more free in creativity when it comes to working with suppliers that are in Pakistan. It might be a $12 t-shirt, but it's typically not just one color print. You can pretty much do the whole sleeves. You can do a puff print here. You can do a patch here. You can do all types of different things. And since it is cut and sewn from scratch, you can send them your measurements. You do have to be a lot more precise the way that you're communicating with them. You have to provide a tech pack so that your product is really accurate. So this is a lot more unique than working and outsourcing directly in the US for a cheaper price, because you can do custom things like have a raw hem bottom, just very unique cuts when it comes to your apparel itself. Now, from my experience with working with manufacturers from Pakistan, you can expect anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks turnaround time, and it's typically a fair price when it comes to these products. Now, when it comes to cut and sew and getting it done in China, from my experience, the price is typically half of what I pay in Pakistan, but it usually takes twice as long. Now, some of you guys are always so concerned about getting your brand name trademarked. Now, this can be a little bit more expensive. Typically, you can expect anywhere from $350 to $700 on average. It depends on how many classes you file for. Typically, like pants is different from t-shirt class, and so on. So depending on what class you want to sign up for is dependent on how much you pay for your actual trademark. You can go to uspto.gov/trademarks to find out more information on how much it costs. But for those of you guys who are always so concerned about getting your trademark before you are starting, most people don't necessarily rip off your brand until you prove a point. So don't let the fact that you don't have a trademark hold you back from starting your brand. But if you truly believe in your brand and you feel like someone's going to steal your idea, then make sure you go ahead and do that. But it is very unlikely that someone steals your idea until it is doing really, really well. Like, look at a brand like Supreme. Anybody could have came up with that name, but it wasn't until they proved their point and they proved that it is something that is being sold at a lot, that is whenever people started stealing their brand, not necessarily because they had a cool idea. So that's pretty much a quick breakdown of all the prices and all the things that you need to start. But most of you guys are forgetting to spend some money on the same thing that you need to promote your brand, which is going to be marketing. Marketing is going to be where you want to spend most of your money. So when it comes to this, there's lots and lots of different things that you can spend your money on. But for the basics, I would at least recommend something like Klaviyo, which is going to be an email, a very basic SMS integration. And with this right here, you have somewhere to store all of your data. You want somewhere to store your emails and your text messages. That way you actually have customers. The name of the game when it comes to a brand is going to be data and customers. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to have anyone that you can retarget and resell to. Then you have a lot of other things like vending, doing pop-up shops. Whenever it comes to doing pop-up shops, it can range anywhere from $50 to $5,000 just for a day, depending on where you are vending. Then you have things like user-generated content, you have content in general, for your own team. You may want to invest into a camera or a photographer. You might want to look into influencers. You might want to look into doing TikTok ads or Facebook. Even the largest brands in the world still spend money on advertising. So don't ever think that you should not be spending money on advertising. Nike, Adidas, all of them are still spending money on running ads. Just because you're not converting or making a sale on your advertising doesn't mean you're not spending money in the right places, because the name of the game is not just conversion, but it is also awareness. A lot of people don't know who you are just yet, so they're not ready to purchase just yet. Now, here's a quick example of how you can create designs using Kiddo.com. As you can see, this is pretty much a template editor, but it does get a lot more advanced, because once you are editing, there are a lot of similarities when it comes to Photoshop and Illustrator. So it gives you guys kind of a stepping stool before you get into the Adobe products. So basically, you just come on here and look for something that you may like. There's lots of unique designs, as you can see right here. That would be a cool t-shirt print. But for now, you would need a logo. So I'm going to open up this one right here. Once you have it opened up, all you have to do is click use this design. Now pretty much choose the one that you like. For example, we can start off with this one right here. All we have to do is double click the text and type in your brand name. Now once you exit out, you have it right there. Now as you can see, the spacing is a little bit too large, so what you can do is come back on over here, and then you can lower the line height. Now the elements are in the way, you can click on it and move it around, and there you have your logo right there. But if you do like elements from a different design, you can also pull that in. So right here, I'm gonna right click and click ungroup on this one. I'm gonna move this text over here. I'm gonna double click this one, move brand. If your brand had 2 words in it, then you can use 2 different fonts like so. Now, as you can see, it's behind all of these elements. What you're going to want to do is right click it and click to front. So now you bring that to the front. Now, once you're done with that, you may need a t-shirt design. So you can go back on here and look for something that's more of a t-shirt design instead of an actual logo. So you can go ahead and scroll around and look. I definitely like this one right here. So you can pretty much change this to whatever you want. You can move this around, you can move this around. You can even resize it if you wanted to. And now if you also wanted your logo on here, you can go back to where you created your logo. You can copy this, hit Control copy, and bring it on over to this one as well. Now, as you can see, the color black does not match this right here. So we can click on this right here and make it match. Now, like I said, you can make a mockup right on Kiddo itself. So you can click on mockup right here. And here we already have it on a t-shirt. So we could download this mockup and put it directly on our website. We can also download this mockup and send it to our production printer, and as well as go back to the actual editor right here. And the reason why you need the paid plan is because you're going to want to download this as a PDF or SVG, because with that one right there, it is a more high quality file, and our production printer typically knows what to do with that. If you are using a print on demand service, make sure you are using a remove background button right there, and then download the PNG. That way there is no background when it is printed on a t-shirt. For example, if you were going to print this on a black t-shirt, you want to get rid of the actual blue portion. So that way it's not printing a blue box on top of a black t-shirt. So that right there is exactly what you need to start off your brand. So remember, this is a long-term play, but the name of the game is going to be data. You want to collect those emails and those phone numbers. That way you can retarget them. And you can't always expect a sale to begin with. The start is awareness. They have to see who you are. From there, you let them know the purpose and the why of your brand. From there, they are a little bit more trustworthy of who you are. And then you have the moment to actually convert them into a customer. Once they become a customer, make sure you have their email and their SMS, phone numbers and whatnot. And then you can follow up and retarget them. That way they are a long-term customer. It's not always about getting a sale from the very first moment, but it's also about creating awareness. That's why content on social media is so important, because you're always going to want to be visible. And that's why it's also important to do pop-up shops or vending in person. That way they can see you and see who you are, and they can be more trusting of your actual brand, and they can love your brand for what it stands for. If this video helped you out, my name is Rich. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, because I have hundreds of other videos just like this.